Welcome back in. It's the Mark and Brad radio program. We were supposed to have him in the room. That couldn't happen. He's rather busy. Joining us now is Andre Agassi. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for your understanding.
Pleasure having you, man. You've been busy. Did you think that this book would cause such a stir?
I was locked in a room for 3 years, pretty much, with this book, and you got to be honest. You start to feel the power of it with all the things that have been sensationalized. One thing that kept pushing me down this path was feeling like there was real power in this story and relevance to people's lives, and that's what eventually got me to get through with it. But you do have this worry in the back of your mind that you're drinking your own Kool-Aid, and it's not till the rubber meets the road till you start to really take a deep breath and go, my God, this was worth all the effort.
I want to read a paragraph. This is from the first chapter, first page. It's a paragraph from the first chapter. The chapter is entitled "The End." My name is Andre Agassi. My wife's name is Steffi Graf. We have 2 children, a son and a daughter, 5 and 3. We live in Las Vegas, Nevada, but currently reside in a suite at the Four Seasons Hotel in New York City because I'm playing in the 2006 U.S. Open, my last U.S. Open. In fact, my last tournament ever. I play tennis for a living, even though I hate tennis. Hate it with a dark and secret passion, and always have. And Andre, my question is, now we've heard excerpts from the book and kind of heard your story over the last few weeks that you were forced basically to, still in grade school, to go to a tennis camp. And then years later, you're tanking matches you didn't want to play in. Was there ever a moment in your life that you loved tennis, or at least loved the fact that you were so talented at it?
No question about it. I think that one of the difficulties through this whole process, or one of the reasons or impetus for going through this process, was to reconcile my contradictions. I mean, I think we all really do have contradictions, but and the universe speaks to people, but sometimes it screams at others at times. And I feel like in this particular case, that emotion of hating what it is you do and happen to be so good at it was that was like the core of my life for most of my life, with me not quite understanding it. And it wasn't so much that it was a misdirected hate. It was what happened as a result of tennis not being a choice in my life. I mean, a little boy who internalizes and feels the weight of the world on his shoulders and the pressure of his family being the fourth and last, and my dad, wanting us to be champions, wanting us to have that quickest road to the American dream. That was a heavy pressure. Then leaving home at 13 and being at an academy 3,000 miles away, giving up your childhood in a place with no adult supervision. It's like, Lord of the Flies with 4 hands is how I kind of call it, and you go through this teenage rebellion, and then in order to get out, you succeed. Now you find yourself on a world stage rebelling, in front of the world, and the next thing you know, you're being labeled. Next thing you know, you're being asked to express who you are, and all you're really doing is exploring who you are, and that comes with its cost. But in between all that was a lot of success and a lot of things that certainly give you the impression that you should love it, and that also was conflicting. But it wasn't really till I chose it for myself at 27 years old that I really started to understand, what tennis meant to me and why it meant so much to me. And I started to attach different meanings to the sport itself, and all of a sudden it gave me my school, and it gave me my team that I could play for that was connected to me yet larger than me, and then it gave me my wife, and then all of a sudden the scales start to get balanced. But I wanted to get people's attention in this book about the fact that there are millions of people out there that are in a life that they find themselves in. It happens to the best of us, and it's that was probably the biggest revelation. There's been a lot of stuff talked about, but that's the heart of it right there.
Well spoken and well said, Andre. Of course, one of the other revelations that you talk about in the book was using crystal meth. A 2-part question: Did you use crystal meth while you were playing, like literally before you would go play a match? And if so, how could you compete with that drug coursing through your body?
Well, first of all, the answer is no, and you can't. I mean, that drug is horrifying. I mean, it really is. When there are degrees, I suppose, of drugs, and I don't. That one was presented to me at a time when I was depressed, when I was just absolutely depressed. And depression doesn't discriminate, and depression doesn't care how many titles you have. It doesn't care if you're ranked number one in the world. Every 2 out of 3 people have at least one bout of depression in their life, and somebody gave me an escape or offered me an escape, and I took it, and I took it periodically. But it is physically impossible to play when you have a drug that you do once and you can stay up for 24 hours. That your heart is on the verge of exploding. It's impossible.
Andre, I was a huge fan of yours when you were playing, and I had heard, and this is like probably ninth hand. But is there any truth to this? Because I always thought it was kind of cool. If you wanted a car, let's say there's a new car that came out and you really wanted it, and the guy that was, or the person that was handling your money, he would say, "Okay, go win the Open, or go win a tournament," and then you kind of buck up, you'd focus your chi or whatever, and you'd win that tournament so you could have money for that car. Is there any truth to that?
That's how it worked with me. You mean?
Yeah.
No. Okay. That rebellion that you saw on the court, trust me, that rebellion was also in my personal life at different stages. When the only good you're feeling from your life is this freedom to take care of your family and to basically do what you want, and you don't know yourself. Nobody's telling you. Nobody's telling me what to do.
Okay. Now let's go back to the family. What kind of relationship do you have with your father now?
It's great. I mean, I think I reconcile it in the book. I know that some of that's been sensationalized too. He wasn't abusive. He was intense. His life, walking a mile in his shoes, is pretty darn incredible. He was violent by nature because he grew up fighting in the streets of Iran. He grew up a boxer in 2 Olympics and Golden Gloves. He came to America not speaking English, put himself through school, raised 4 kids, held 2 jobs most of his life. He's much harder on himself than he is on anybody else, but he is hard on us, and he demands a lot. He's taught me a lot. So we have a relationship now. We communicate with hugs, which is different than it used to be.
Yeah.
And he's proud. I mean, I see him quite often when he's around the grandchildren, wiping tears away from his eyes. To watch a father who's tough your whole life, literally spend a lot of his days wiping tears away with joy is a pretty nice feeling.
Many people would take that toughness that came from the father and pour it out on their own kids. I can only assume that you don't. I'm sure you're a disciplinarian, but you've changed your ways of fathering from the way your dad fathered you.
Oh yeah, I mean, there are things I hope to be that my father is as it relates to discipline in my own life, or as generosity. My father's very generous. My father's very fiercely loyal. Those things I marvel at and I aspire towards. But as it relates to my children, I define success differently than my father defined success as a parent and for my child. So it's not about being the best in the world at anything. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. You define success as a parent. And for me, that's I will make sure that my children see through their responsibilities if they commit to something. But for them to choose is important.
We're jumping around here, but a lot of things to talk about. Brooke Shields, was there ever love there?
Is it possible to really love somebody when you don't love yourself and you don't know yourself? I mean, yes, I would say that at the time I felt love. We felt connected. I felt these things, but is it real? I thought it was, but it certainly wasn't real enough to last. But I think the most important thing in a relationship are for 2 people to know themselves intimately and to know themselves well, and I don't think I was capable of loving anybody at that stage of my life.
Gotta say, one of my favorite commercials in the past year is the one with the kid playing tennis and beating the hell out of a grown man, and then you and Steffi drive up in the van to pick him up. Very, very funny.
Lightning in a bottle. Those guys captured that. That's for sure.
Did Steffi help you decide on writing this book and where you were going to go with the book? Was she instrumental in this?
She was instrumental in the fundamental support, because I would have never done anything to compromise, the person that I care most about, and she. The thing is she's a very private person, but she's the most generous, spirited person you've ever met. She's the most supportive person, and she's willing to put herself aside. And she knew me, then she knew that I had a story that I needed to tell. She knew that my story needed to be heard, and she was proud of me for taking it on. She told me many times, I just the courage that this is taking, because I know how you're going about this, hours upon hours, and I'm not going to leave it. I got to leave it all out on that table. Else, what the heck am I doing this for? I'm not interested in a global press conference where I release a book that positions things and that shines a light on some fake some facade. I wanted it to be real. I wanted to have relevance. I think my story is fundamentally inspiring and gives tools to millions of people who struggle with many things, lives they don't want to be in, relationships they don't want to be in, being labeled, teenagers that could step in pitfalls. This book's about forgiveness of parents, forgiveness of yourself. This book's about, giving yourself the permission to be sure when it comes to love. There's so much going on in the life that I've lived, and to find a powerful way to tell that was really important to me.
Well, we need to say congratulations to you. Your book, Open, will debut on the New York Times bestseller list as #1.
That's amazing. It's amazing, because the thing that I hear when I hear that is that this book is in a lot of people's hands, and that's what I wanted it to be.
They see you and Steffi sitting in the stand somewhere, and I don't know, you got to think, it always kind of pops into my head, I wonder if they're out in their backyard playing tennis. Do you pick up a tennis racket ever?
Occasionally, yeah. We go to charity stuff. We go out there and hit balls, and I just love the fact that people assume we have a tennis court in the backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'd be happy to build one. Get me a house with a big enough backyard, and I might put one in there. But no, it's weird. I got to say, it's just fundamentally weird. You say goodbye to something, and you're done with it all of a sudden. Your whole life you've done it one way, and then you pour yourself into this beautiful, blessed life with your kids and your foundation, and this project I've taken on with this book over the last 3 years. And then all of a sudden, it's time to get ready for something, a favor to repay, or something to go do on the tennis court. And you walk to a tennis court, and you still feel like normal. And then you start to hit the ball, and it's all of a sudden you go, geez, I'm actually pretty good at this. It's like I forgot. I forgot I used to do this.
Wow. Well, those of you that want to meet Andre, you actually can. There is a book signing today, 12 noon, at Vroman's in Pasadena. That's at 695 East Colorado Boulevard. If you need a phone number, it's 626-449-5320.
Andre, we've enjoyed the time spent with you very much.
Well, you're very kind, and please, guys, anytime I can help you out or come share some morning with you, and I'll just set the alarm a little early, because you guys sound a lot more awake than I do.
We'd love to have you anytime, man.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Good
Andre.
talking to you.
Take a little break. We'll be right back here on the Mark O'Brien Radio Program, 95.5 KLOS.